Hi, thanks for clicking on this video. We're here at Trinity Wesleyan Church so that we can unleash hope to those around us, and that includes you. So thank you for being a part of what's going on in our church, even through technology. We hope that this video is a blessing to you, and at the end, you're going to see some next steps and ways that you can get involved even after this video is done.
Everywhere you turn, prices are climbing. Gas, groceries, rent. For many, it feels like money slips away faster than it comes in. We know what it feels like when dollars don't seem to add up and cents don't make sense anymore. But God's word has always offered wisdom for moments like this. Wisdom that brings peace when the world feels uncertain. Truth that turns dollars into purpose and makes sense of it all. This isn't just about money. It's about freedom. It's about trust. It's about living with God's wisdom in every dollar and every decision.
Today, I'm going to give you the formula to have money if you're struggling with money. And that's not for right now. We have to get through a couple other things before we get there. But Jen and I started watching this TV show on A&E called Evict My Child, and it follows the lives of adult children living in their parents' homes. The kids aren't paying anything, and they feel like their parents owe them everything. So these kids that they're following are between the ages of 22 and 28, and their parents are doing their laundry, cooking their food, cleaning their rooms. It was like watching a train wreck. Like, you want to look away, but you can't stop watching. And I felt this frustration welling up inside me when I saw a 26-year-old who won't leave her mom's house. Sure, times are tough, but not for this 26-year-old. She moved back in with her mom after graduating college, but brought her fiance with her after she graduated from college. Both of them, they don't pay rent, they don't help around the house, and the daughter will go shopping to buy luxury items like Gucci and Louis Vuitton and the latest iPhone, and she wants a Mercedes G-Wagon and doesn't work a job. She said that her mom showed her a lifestyle that she wants to live and deserves to have that lifestyle. Now, I'm fine with people having things if they do two things. Number one, they pay their bills on their own, and they work hard for what they have. Now, I don't live flashy, but if someone does, whatever. But when someone doesn't work or lives off the government full time or lives off their family, like, that gets me frustrated. Like, you don't get what you haven't earned. That's not how the world works. I feel like the older I get, the more I feel this to my core, and I see this as a tragedy of American young adults. And here it is. Kids feel that they are owed the same lifestyle they grew up with. They feel they deserve what their parents have at an age they're not able to afford what their parents have. I remember my parents, when they first got married, they talked about having vehicles that if you lifted up the floor mats, you could see the road going by underneath you. I lived in small houses. Money was tough to come by. I mean, that should be like a rite of passage as you first become an adult and when you get married. Like, you don't get a new car because you're an adult. You get something that works for the time being. You don't live the same lifestyle your parents live. You're not owed that. Instant gratification is rising and sacrifice is waning. Just because your parents have something at age 50 and you're 25 doesn't mean that you should live the same financial lifestyle as your parents when they are twice your age. They don't owe you that. You don't deserve that lifestyle until you sacrifice. Now, that's my soapbox for today. We go into a book of Proverbs, and a book of Proverbs is a collection of practical wisdom given to King Solomon from God. So God told Solomon he could ask for anything, so Solomon asked for wisdom, and God gave it to him, making King Solomon the wisest man who ever lived. Now, I love reading the Proverbs because it's an easy way to take a simple thought and just put it into practice. They're short, snappy phrases that give you a punch that you need for the day. Now, each chapter is under a general theme. Some are about wisdom and others about foolishness. Some are about diligence and laziness, but many times the Proverbs compare and contrast two different characteristics. These two proverbs we're going to learn from they come from Proverbs chapter 13, and the overarching theme of Proverbs chapter 13 is its parental guidance to children. So practical instruction for godly living. It comes under a metaphor as a father teaching his son for wisdom. Now, if you're a woman, this doesn't mean don't listen to this. It's not a boys-only club. It is wisdom for anyone, but it is the perspective of a father to son. That's the perspective it's written from, a father to a son. Now, imagine a father going out fishing with his son, and between nibbles from the fish, the father gives different thoughts about life and living close to God. Now, chapter 13 has a lot of different proverbs in one chapter, range all over the place. It almost seems like the father is trying to get a ton of information out to his son before something big happens. Like maybe the son is getting ready to step into adulthood or into marriage, and here's a couple last things. Or maybe the father doesn't have a lot of time left in his life and wants to get some pressing thoughts out into his son's mind. I see like this desperation, but not like a desperation of losing, but a desperation of giving the best to his son. Like you want to give the best to your child. Like you want to give them the best of the best. You want them to have anything they need to thrive in this life, right? Like there's a pressure as parents to set your children up for maturity and to eventually move from your care to them taking care of themselves. Like that is the goal set up from the very beginning. God said, a man shall leave his father and mother and becomes united to his wife. The goal is moving on as you mature. Not saying you never talk to your parents again, but eventually you go on to grow up and take the role as an adult. The goal is growth so that you can leave. It's like eventually the baby bird is going to be kicked out of the nest, whether they're ready to fly or not. They're going to learn on the way down. Eventually, babies need to stop drinking their mother's milk and they need to eat solid food that isn't brought to them. Eventually, kids will have to make their own food, do their own laundry, pay their own bills. As their children, you give them wisdom and you show them how to mature and grow, or else they'll never leave. And they're not going to grow and they're not going to mature. In Proverbs chapter 13, this father is giving advice and he's giving wisdom to his son for the next step in the son's life. So Proverbs chapter 13, verse 7, it says, one person pretends to be rich, yet has nothing. Another pretends to be poor, yet has great wealth. Like you see this comparison and contrasting, like there's riches and poverty, nothing and great wealth. Like what happens is that people pretend to be rich, but they don't have nothing, don't have anything. They think if they live rich, they will be rich. But on the other hand, people think if you live poor, you will be poor. And that's the opposite. People they think like, oh, if I act rich, I'm going to be rich. No. If I act poor, then I'm going to be poor. No. When you pretend you are poor, you have great wealth. It's not keeping up with the Joneses. It's not getting the newest phone or car every time there's something new that comes out. Wisdom is living poor. Wisdom is living beneath your means, beneath how much you make. When you live poor, you will have more. This is basic financial education. If you spend everything, you have nothing left. If you spend a little bit, you have more left. And hopefully that is making sense. If not, I'm not sure where else to go. That's as basic as I can go. If you spend a little bit, you have more left. If you spend everything, you have nothing left. Like those who willingly make themselves poor on a material level and do so out of generosity to others or out of fixed spiritual priorities, such ones have great riches in this life and in the life to come. It's not just about your bank account, but your spiritual life and how you view money. And we typically look at influencers that rent a private jet, but they don't fly anywhere. They just get on to take pictures. Or they just rent out the interior so they look rich on social media. Or they just rent a vehicle, but the vehicle doesn't go anywhere. They just get a sports car and rent it out and take pictures, and then they never drive. It's not theirs. They look rich. And while to me that's incredibly dumb, that's not what I'm talking about. Because we like to point the finger at others while ignoring our own problems. Sure, I don't think any of you are renting a private jet on the ground, but we pretend we are rich by the way we spend our money. Snacks and fast food and trinkets and subscriptions while we're struggling to pay for basic human needs. That's like a rich person who will throw away money that they spend without thinking. Like, you may not have money, but you act like you do. Like, look at your bank statement from this past month and tell me you don't act rich. You don't have anything to show for it. I saw a video a couple weeks ago that said everything in your house was once money. If you take one room in your house and you add up how much every single thing in that room costs, everything, every single thing, see how much that will change your perspective of how much you spend without realizing it. So where I was sitting writing this sermon, I took 3 minutes and added up how much everything was in my room. Just 3 minutes. I could have kept going. The bed, the TV, computer, my glasses, a fidget toy, my phone, nightstands, dresser organizer, a storage cabinet, a fan, smart plug, a hat, humidifier, bed frame, Tums, surge protector, clipboard, the office sign from the TV show The Office, a pillowcase that I need to put on my pillow, an Apple Watch, a Kleenex, under the bed storage. That's just 3 minutes. And I added up all those things. I estimated and added those all up. Is $9,703. One room. And you think I spend crazy or spend too much other than the TV and the bed frame and the bed and the computer? There's small purchases that add up over time. The TV is 4 years old. The computer is 5 years old, but I use it every day for my job. The glasses that I have were $2,100, but necessary for me to drastically reduce the amount of migraines I have. So we don't really go shopping much. We typically only get necessary purchases. Almost $10,000 in one room. Over 12 years of marriage, it adds up. That's not including clothes in the closet or things inside the dressers or the storage. This is a quick 3-minute tally of stuff in one room. $4,000 of things, $4,000 of stuff just sitting there. Again, it's $5 here, $20 there. Like, over time, it adds up. I mean, could you use $4,000 right now? Like, who could use it? Everybody. You think you don't have money, but small purchases add up. If you live like you are poor, you will have more left over. If you live like you are rich, and this includes those of us who spend without thinking about it, you will have hardly any left over or nothing at all. We're spending over what you make. Some people will spend on credit cards thinking they have money because they have a credit card. And for most people, credit cards are a terrible idea because those who use them wrong, and the reason credit cards actually make money, for the most part, these people don't have education or discipline to use them properly. Credit card companies don't make money from the Munsell household. Every single month, our credit card is paid off. We know how much we can spend on it, and we don't even get to a third of how much we can spend per month. The only way that our credit card makes the company money is because of processing fees, which happens on every card. If you don't pay off your credit card every single month, you are paying to have money you don't have. Think about that. You are paying to have money you do not have. Like, do you see how ridiculous that is? You're paying to have money you don't own. Like, you're paying not just a little bit of money, but most times interest rates are 20% or more for each purchase that you make that you don't pay off. Like, you think inflation is bad? Try paying 20% interest on top of that inflation. It's going to make you think again about buying something you don't need. How much is one meal at McDonald's? $12? If you don't pay off that $12 on a credit card, that next month, that one meal is going to be $14.40. If you don't pay that the next month, it becomes $17.28. A third month of not paying becomes $20.23. So the first month is an extra $2.40. The second month is $2.88. The third month is $3.45. And this is a very, very basic understanding of credit card interest. After 3 months, that meal of $12 becomes an extra $8.73. Pay off your credit cards. Better yet, don't use a credit card. Pay it off quick, cut it up. One of the Proverbs in Proverbs chapter 22, verse 7, it says, "The borrower is slave to the lender." Now, back in the day when the Proverbs were written by King Solomon, when someone borrowed money, they were actually a slave to the person who lent the money until it was paid back. In that day, people would actually sell themselves into slavery to settle the debt they had with that person. Like, they would work for this person. They actually became a slave to the person who lent the money. And while there still is slavery throughout the world in one way or another, it's not as common as it was then. Today, someone who owes money works to pay them what they owe. Like, the sentiment remains, though. You are not working for yourself, but you're working for someone else. The hard work you're putting in is not for yourself or helping provide for you or your family, but you're working extra to pay off somebody else before you can help yourself. Now, the commentary I was reading about the context of this verse it's quoting, it says, "Some sell their liberty to gratify their luxury." They give up their freedom of working and building their own wealth to gratify their own desires and have instant gratification. And when you have instant gratification, you're not grateful for what you have. It becomes, okay, I got that. Now what's next? What can I get next to satisfy this desire? But flip the switch and you work hard and save up for something, and you work hard for that, you will baby that possession. You want to keep it as long as possible because of the blood, sweat, and tears it took you to obtain it. Now, people don't accidentally become rich. You don't accidentally have financial security. You don't have extra money in your bank because of the government or because of someone else giving it to you. Having extra and having wealth means sacrificing what you want now for a bigger payoff later. It means long nights and early mornings. Around 5 p.m. every day, Jenna and I stop working for a little bit. After the girls go to bed, about 8 or 9 p.m., after they are asleep, we work a little bit more, whether finishing up projects from earlier or working on extra streams of income outside of our 9-to-5 job. There are times we'll work until midnight or 1 a.m., and we're working to provide ourselves with a peace of mind and financial security. It is difficult, but we're doing it for when we're older and don't have as much energy, that we will be taken care of from the sacrifices we are making in our younger days. We do it to provide generational wealth to our kids and show them the value of hard work and diligence over time. We show them how long it takes to make $1, and we involve them in aspects outside of our 9-to-5 jobs so that they can understand basic finance. And they actually ask better questions about finances than most adults, but especially beyond where most kids are at their age. I'm not talking down to anyone, but I'm helping us see that it takes thought and action to provide for your family today and tomorrow. Proverbs chapter 10, verse 4, another proverb, it says, "Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth." Now, there's times where we watch TikTok for way too long and don't feel like staying up late to work on our other areas. I'm not saying you can never do anything fun, but if all you do is watch TV or read or on social media, you do those things and don't have money, you can't blame anyone else but yourself. I know that people have hard lives and they've had hard upbringings, but there is a point where it's no longer about your upbringing and becomes your personal responsibility. That age can start anywhere from like 15 to age 25. Some people will get it a lot earlier and decide they don't want to keep living like they were. Sometimes it takes a little longer, but there is a point where it's no one else's fault but your own. I'm not being heartless. Like, I understand difficulties in life. I've been through difficulties in my life, but knowledge is out there. You can access it whenever, wherever. Like, you can go to Google. You can go on ChatGPT. You have grown up or have made grown-up decisions. It's no longer someone else's job to save you. Knowledge and wisdom is anywhere. Go find it. Do something extra. In this day and age, you can't live on one part-time job to provide for a family. You can't live off a hobby to provide for your children. It takes at least a full-time job to survive, most likely 2 full-time jobs, and maybe even some side hustles just to make ends meet. Now, I'm going to give you a secret formula for financial success. I need you to write it down for me. This is how you have more money if you're struggling with money. Okay, you ready? Not many people know this. If you are struggling with money, here it is. Make more money or spend less money. And you're probably like, that's not a secret. Then why aren't people doing it? It's so simple, but people don't want to make sacrifices or don't want to work more. So how do you make more money? There's 3 ways you can make more money. There's probably a lot more, but number 1, you can work more hours. Number 2, you can get promoted. Number 3, find a higher paying job. How do you spend less? You live poor. You pretend like you're poor. You make every transaction count. If you're poor, every single transaction, can I do this? Is this something I actually need, or is it something I want? And the last way you can spend less is just sacrifice. Go without the whatever next model of phone is. Go without that nicer car that you think you need. Go without going shopping. So how do you make more? We work more hours. Like, if you're working a hobby, add a full-time job. If you're working a part-time job, add a full-time job. If you're working full-time, add something at home in the evenings. Get creative. You can make more money by getting promoted. So how do you get promoted? You got to work hard, be the best employee you can be, go above and beyond. If you're at the top of your employment, ask how you can make more money. If you can't go any higher, find a higher paying job. If I find a higher paying job, they're out there. Sometimes they're online. Sometimes it means learning or getting a simple online certification where you can take your hourly wage up $5, $10 an hour at least. Like, you can leave where you are to find something that will work for you and your situation. That's how to make more money. On the other side, it's spending less money. First, you got to live poor. Like, pretend like you were in poverty. Ask yourself, does someone in poverty need, when you're out shopping, fill in the blank? Do they need this trinket, this knickknack, this decoration? Whatever it is. You live poor to actually be wealthy. You will see so many things as the lazy way of living. Instead of eating out, make food at home. Instead of getting snacks at the gas station, go home or plan ahead when you think you might need a snack. Instead of buying something, take a week and see if you really need it. Most times we don't need what we think we need, but in the moment, we think we can't live without it. When you live poor, needs and wants become very apparent. There's a huge differentiation between them. When you live rich, the lines are blurred. It's hard to tell the difference between needs and wants. It's just, I gotta have it now. You can spend less by making every transaction count. Proverbs 27 verse 23, it says, "Be sure you know the condition of your flocks. Give careful attention to your herds, for riches do not endure forever, and a crown is not secure for all generations. This is my favorite verse on biblical finance. Back in the Old Testament for the Israelites, a lot of them were shepherds. They didn't have Apple Pay or Cash App or online banking. Their way of money had more to do with goods and services, trading, bartering. As a shepherd, their sheep were their money. So if a sheep was sick, that meant you are losing money. If a sheep was wandering, that means you lost money. And when Solomon says, know the condition of your flocks, he's saying to make sure you know how much money you have, what the condition of your money is. If there's any money that has wandered off without your knowledge. It's so easy to forget about subscriptions and small purchases, and you wonder where your money is gone and why you don't have any money. If you knew the condition of your money and where it was going, you would be proactive in taking care of it and keeping a tighter rein on spending. The last thing you can do to spend less money is to sacrifice. Now, sacrifice isn't a swear word, yet we don't talk about sacrifice in society. We don't really talk about it in church. We always want what someone else has, and it's their fault because they took it from us. Sacrifice is a normal part of being an adult. Now, do I want to fly to Baton Rouge and watch LSU beat Alabama at Death Valley? Yes. Is it reasonable? No. Could I afford it if I save up? But the thing about sacrifice is when you sacrifice, your desires change. It would be cool to see someday, but I'd rather save money to invest long-term into a life of financial security than see LSU possibly lose to a tough rival. A trip like that would probably cost $3,000-$4,000. Now, if somebody paid for me to go, I'm not turning that down, but my desires change. Instead of looking for one-time gratification, it's about looking down the road to be prepared for what may come. What sacrifices do you need to make to be financially prepared for yourself? What sacrifices do you need to make to be prepared for your family or your future? Sacrifice isn't a swear word. And especially in the church, it's the cost of following Jesus. Especially in Christian circles, it should be looked at as a priority rather than doing it begrudgingly. Now, I know it seems like common knowledge, but the key to your financial future is make more or spend less. But here's the caveat. The closer you get to God, the less desire you have for wasteful things, and the easier sacrifice becomes. You focus on the mind of Christ, and those little trivial purchases become less and less because God changes our desires and help us live wisely. The closer we get to God, our desires look less like our own desires and start to look like the heart of God. Sacrifice starts as annoying. Then the ball gets rolling. You start to understand who God is, and sacrifice becomes a way of living because your desire is to love God and love others, to unleash hope even with your finances.